Mike Owens with Inside Fighting here, joined today by Nathan Fletcher, who on Saturday night finally makes his UFC debut. Nath, always a pleasure, my man. How are things with you today?
I'm very good, mate. I'm doing much better now. Now I'm speaking to you. It's nice to catch up with you. It's been a while since we last spoke. So, and obviously it's exciting times now for me in my career. So, yeah, things have been crazy. They've been up and down, as it always has been for me, I suppose. But yeah, we're here now. I'm good. I'm living life. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm ready to fight. So things are going good.
How is you said off camera you'll be in Las Vegas for 3 weeks. How are you? How are you finding your time in Sin City? Because I don't think that's somewhere that I could stand 3 weeks in, to be totally honest with you.
You know what? It's a weird one because obviously we've been very regimented and we've had a routine of training, so it's been okay. That's kind of kept us grounded and on the right path whilst you're out here, because you could very easily slip off the path in this city. But we've had a good time. We've been structured. Obviously, I've had Adam Cullen, my training partner, stay out with me, so I'm very lucky that he was able to to stay with me, and he's helped me out and sort of been coach mode for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been a crazy experience. We went to a football game. I'm repping the LSU hat.
American football, Nath, let's just clarify for the
What?
fan.
Oh,
American football, let's clarify before the fans in the comments,
basically a Yank now, bro. I've been living here for 3 weeks, so. But yeah, we've got some stuff done, so it's been a good time. It's been crazy and unexpected, but I think I'll look back on this at the end of my career and be like, do you remember that time my UFC debut and I spent 3 weeks in Vegas and did all those crazy stuff with one of my best mates as well. So
yeah.
It's been good.
How have you structured training? Have you guys kept yourselves to yourselves? I mean, I've saw a couple of pictures of you guys getting some work in the PI, but have you went into any of the gyms? We've obviously got Extreme Couture, Syndicate, and the likes. Have you spent any of the time in any of the gyms?
So we haven't been to any of those gyms. We've done most of our sessions in the PI just with me and Art, because we know my game plan. We know what I'm trying to do in this fight. Adam's a good training partner. Me and him have trained together for probably 10 years now. So we know each other very well. But we were lucky enough to bump into Diego Lopez in the UFC PI. And he invited us down to his gym. So we went down a couple of times, did some open mats, a bit of jiu-jitsu rounds with him and his boys. So that was a really cool experience, because Diego's someone I look up to. And obviously he's a very exciting fighter, and he's got great jiu-jitsu as well. So to be able to roll with him and jump in with his boys, that was pretty cool. So yeah, we enjoyed that. But majority of our sessions have been just me and Adam in the PI for the last week and a half. Obviously, I was prepared to fight the week I came out here. So these extra weeks have just been like ticking over, making sure my weight doesn't creep up and staying sharp and perfecting the game plan.
Well, let's try and do this as a timeline, because there's so much that's gone on over the last couple of weeks that I want to make sure that we don't miss out anything. So
Yeah.
talk to us about the initial moment where you were sent the call up to go and make your debut on the 24th of August, and what your first reaction was to hearing that news, and who you heard that from.
Okay, so I was in the gym. This was probably about 6 weeks out from that date. So I'd just come back to training for a couple of weeks. Obviously, I got injured on The Ultimate Fighter where I broke my leg. So that was recorded right at the start of the year. So I'd had the time off from the injury. I was getting back into the gym, starting to get back in shape. And I was anticipating that I was probably going to fight on a Cage Warriors card in September, the one that's coming up in Manchester. So that was sort of my time frame. And then Graham, my manager, rang me and said, look, you've got an opportunity here to fight on the tough finals against Gigamantis, who was, one of my teammates on the show. So I know him very well. And that was just an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. So although 6 weeks notice, I mean, I'd been training for probably about a month already, but not like fight camp training. Do you know what I mean? But that's an opportunity you can't be turning down. So we jumped on that. I jumped straight into a proper fight camp. Luckily, I'm used to fighting at 35, so making weight was no problem in that time frame. 6 weeks was plenty of time to get down to featherweight, and I was just sharpening up and getting ready. So yeah, that was about 6 weeks out. We got the call, and everything went.
So you had a full camp to be able to prepare for this fight?
Oh yeah, I had 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, and then we flew out to Vegas, and then obviously all the madness started happening.
So we'll be back to the interview in just a second, but first, the NFL season is back, and Inside Fighting is a touchdown of a deal for you. We've partnered up with DraftKings, an official partner of the NFL, to bring you an offer where new DraftKings customers who bet $5 receive $250 in bonus bets instantly, as well as 1 month of NFL Plus Premium, just by signing up using our promo code Inside Fighting. So again, I want to be very open-ended with how I asked this because I know that you've still got a fight to prepare for Saturday night. But talk to us about what happened with the initial booking last Saturday.
Yeah, so I've got no issues talking about it. What it was basically towards the end of my camp, I got a staph infection, which obviously that's common when your body's run down and you get into sort of peaking and stuff like that. These little things can happen. So I got a staph and I treated it. I got my doctor back home, sorted me out with antibiotics, and we were treating it. And I thought the infection was gone. And to be honest, my coaches, we all thought the same. Actually got to the point where I weighed in for the fight, and you have to go through like a medical with the athletic commission. So this isn't the UFC you're dealing with. This is the Nevada State sort of government athletic commission. And the doctor passed me. He thought that the infection was gone, no issues. So then we fast forward to fight day. Everything's going good. I'm warming up in the back, and literally 30 minutes before the show starts, one of the officials is sat with you in the changing rooms. So he notices it on my arm, and he says, I'm just going to get the doctor to have another look at this. So I'm thinking it's okay. They've already cleared me. There's going to be no issues here. Doctor comes in, checks out the arm, and this time, he's not happy with it. So we start deliberating, having a discussion. They brought in the UFC doctor, who was very helpful actually, and he was talking to me. And I thought maybe we were going to be able to just go ahead with it, but ultimately, the decision lies with the athletic commission. Not the UFC. So they decided to pull the fight. They said that technically I was still in contagious or whatever it was with the infection. So absolutely devastated, gutted, sort of like broke down straight away. Thought that my dreams were getting ripped away from me again after all the obstacles I've come through, all the adversity I've had to overcome in my career. Is another bit now, bad luck. So yeah, that was it. It got pulled right before the fight, and fortunately my team was strong. They were all right by me. They said we're going to get this sorted. So we got straight on the phone to my manager Graham, and he did a great job of speaking to the UFC, communicating with them. And pretty soon after me finding out the fight was off, I found out we were going to get rebooked for this date now, the 7th of September. So it was a silver lining.
So 30 minutes before you were due to make that walk was when the fight was pulled.
Yeah, literally they saw me in the back, and I was warming up. I had my cup on, my gum shield in, hands wrapped. I was ready to go. I was getting in the zone. So yeah, this is a mad sport. You don't know that it's happening until the cage door's locked, literally, and you're in there, and the referee says, "Are you ready to fight?" That's like, up until that moment, as I found out now, anything can happen. So it's crazy sport.
What is that moment like, mate? Because I've been around a lot of fighters on fight night, and I always feel like there's a switch that gets flicked, or there's like that Jekyll and Hyde moment where you guys change a little bit and you go from Nathan Fletcher into the Southpaw Strangler, or whatever you're calling yourself these days. So what is that moment like when you don't get the rewards of being able to fight and you have to flick the switch back off?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put into words, to be honest. It's just your worst nightmare coming true. Like everything crumbles right before your eyes. Obviously, at that point, it's a done deal. In your head, I'm convincing myself I'm going out there, I'm going to win. This is going to be one of the best days of my life. I'm ready to do it. All the hard work's come down to this, and then out of my control, it gets pulled away from me. So it's heartbreaking, But I pride myself on mental toughness. I always have. I always speak about this, and you've got to just it's one thing to preach it, but to be in these positions that I've been in over my career and be able to bounce back from it and just carry on like nothing's happened. That's and I think it's down to the fact as well, I'm able to deal with it so well because of the adversity I've been through. Like, this is not the first time I've had some not going my way. So kind of built up a thick skin to it. And obviously in the moment, I nearly fell apart. I was absolutely gutted. But the minute we started rearranging things and sorting this date out, my mindset switched instantly. It was like, okay, this is still going to happen. You've got to focus on what you can control. And we've got a new date. Let's just do everything possible to make that date happen.
Because for those who don't know, maybe UFC fans watching this rather than Cage Warriors fans, you've often had issues with being able to get opponents falling out on short notice. So this has been obviously that's different because that's on the opponent side, but this has been a theme that you have had to deal with throughout your career. And I know I saw all the photos coming out of you signing the posters of Kyle Bahalio and Jared Cannonier's face. Now you're signing posters of Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady's face. So everything's been shifted along 2 weeks, and you have to go through all of this process again weight cut tomorrow evening / Friday morning. How do you
Mhm.
keep your focus strong, having to retrace your steps and do all of the processes of fight week, the good and the bad, a second time over?
Do you know what? I wouldn't even say that's a struggle for me. I love this. I've watched these fight weeks on the embeddeds on people's YouTube for years. I've been a fan of the sport. So to be here now and I get to be around Gilbert Burns, he's a legend who I look up to. Other fighters. I'm kind of like a kid at Disney World. This is my dream come true. So to be able to do it again is no issue whatsoever. And if anything, it's just preparing me for the UFC career that I'm going to have. Like I've got to do 2 fight weeks. I've spent loads of time in the PI. I've got to know all the staff here. They're all dead sound. I'm making good relationships with everyone. So I'm kind of embedding myself into the UFC before I'm even here. So it's actually, to be honest, I think I'm going to look back and it's all going to have been a blessing in disguise. Maybe my training partner Adam won't feel the same because I've dragged him out here for 3 weeks. It took him away from his family and friends. But for me, it's definitely going to have been worth it in the end, I think.
Well, shout out to Adam Cullen because that's a sign of a real friend as well, and you should keep him close throughout the rest of your career.
Oh,
Has there been someone that you've bumped into over the last couple of weeks where you've been particularly starstruck? You mentioned Gilbert there. Has there been anybody where you've been, as you mentioned, the kid at Disney World, where you've gone, oh my Lord, that's such and such a person?
yeah. Do you know what? A cool one for me was just training with Diego. He's a guy who I look up to, and he's a very exciting fighter. Obviously, he's pretty new on the scene himself, but I like the splash that he's made. There's been, do you know, another one also, Cody Garbrandt, because like sort of early days in my career when he was on his tear, I really looked up to him. He was one of my favorite fighters when he was like beating Dominic Cruz, all those guys, Thomas Almeida. So seeing him and speaking to him, and he's a really cool guy. There's been so many, to be honest. Aljamain Sterling, another cool dude who I've spoken to a couple of times. Everyone who you see on the TV and you see on the YouTube and stuff, and you think they're going to be this crazy big star, this mad personality, and then you speak to them and they're just like you. They're just a normal person chasing the dreams. So it's pretty, it's pretty cool experience, to be honest.
Have you kept in touch with Valentina since the Ultimate Fighter? Have you had any words of encouragement or words of wisdom? I mean, I know that you're fighting a teammate, so she can't technically pick sides, but have you had any contact from the bullet?
I haven't spoken to Valentina since the show, to be honest. No, we had a good relationship on the show. She was cool and everything, but I just haven't really. That's not somebody who I've stayed in touch with afterwards. She's obviously got her own stuff going on, big fight coming up, and also the guy I'm fighting went out to Tiger to prepare for this fight. So I don't know if maybe there's a bit of favoritism there, perhaps. So I just kept myself to myself after that. But yeah, I haven't really been in touch with her since the show.
How do you reflect on your experiences on the Ultimate Fighter? I mean, obviously your fight didn't go your way, but I suppose when I think about it, there is a silver lining because the pressure's off in that moment, and you can, if you take the right mindset, as I'm sure you did, take the student's approach and just use that as an opportunity to learn from some of the best fighters and coaches in the world. So, how do you reflect on your overall experience in the Ultimate Fighter house?
That's exactly how you've described it. To be honest, Mike, I think best case scenario, like obviously I didn't get the win, but that loss doesn't go on my record. I'm still 8-1. I've still been given this opportunity because of the show, probably because of the way I carried myself, the way I fought on through that fight, and a great learning experience. It was definitely not only as a fighter because I picked up a lot of tips off the other guys on the show, the guys I was living with. Ryan Loader, actually the guy who won the middleweight tournament, he was very insightful and taught me a lot about sort of recovery, stretching, breath work, meditation, all this kind of stuff, which I kind of delve a little bit into myself. But he was like, let's say if I'm a blue belt at it, he was probably like a brown belt. So I got to pick his brain quite a bit on that. Made a couple of good friends that I'm going to speak to for the rest of my life, 100% there. And grew as a man as well, because it's challenging to be taken out of your usual environment, put in a house with a bunch of people you've got to compete against. No contact with my girlfriend who I speak to every single day, no contact with my brothers, my best friends back home, my dad, all that type of stuff. So it was a challenge, but I definitely grew as a person coming away from it. So a lot of positives, and ultimately the main positive is it's landed me this position that I'm in now. So I'm very grateful for doing that show. Would I do it again? Probably not. You probably couldn't pay me enough money to go and do it again, but once in a lifetime experience, definitely.
We do often see on the finalists when the finals are played out, we do often see one or maybe two matchups, depending on the strength of the card, we do see one or two matchups always picked out from guys who never made it to the finals. Why do you feel as though you were picked to make your debut, to make a UFC debut, and kind of bypass that line, if you will?
Yeah, I think that a lot of things are probably taken into account. One, the injury that happened in my fight. So, it's no secret, I broke my leg about a minute in. And to carry on fighting at the pace I did for 10 minutes against, one of the best guys on the show who made it to the finals, that shows my determination, my skill, and my mindset to, because to be honest, you've got somebody in there with a broken leg, you're not putting them away. Like it shows what kind of character they've got. And how much they can dig and keep fighting. And I nearly secured a choke even in the second round. So, and actually, I still believe this. Like, we went into a third. I think I was coming back into the fight, and I could have done a lot more in the third. Potentially even got a finish. So, I think that in itself earned me another opportunity. But then, if you look at like other things, sort of the way I come across on the show, I think from what I've heard, that the response of people has been pretty positive. That I come across pretty well. People tend to like my personality on it. So, there's probably a few factors. Also, Graham, my manager, he's very good. He's been able to pull some strings and get me in there. So I think there's a few factors what go into it. But yeah, I was definitely the right choice for them, and they're going to see that on Saturday when Gigamantis, even the guy I'm fighting, I believe that he is potentially, even for the UFC's eyes, a favourite because he won his fight on the show. He wasn't able to continue due to the injury that he sustained, but he actually won his first round fight. And Dana loved his performance. I don't know if you've seen that episode, but he had a really good farm fight on the show. So I think potentially from the UFC's point of view, maybe they're looking for him to be a potential prospect. But I'm going to come in and spoil the party for them and dominate, look good, and then they'll have no choice but to be adding me to the roster. So
it's so interesting, mate, because there was obviously the first phase of your gym's success. We obviously seen what Chris Fishgold did originally, and then we've seen what Paddy and Molly have gone on to do. Leah's obviously doing great things over in Bellator, and then there's this second phase of guys out of your gym. Yourself, Adam, Luke, who was obviously meant to be on the Contender Series, Luke Riley, Shem doing his great things over in Octagon. So it feels like you're almost the first guy of this second phase of next gen to make the move into the UFC. So my question to you is, how does it feel? I know that the job's not done until Saturday afternoon or evening when you finally fight, but how does it feel to at least achieve one stage of your dream in actually making it to the UFC?
yeah, I think obviously as fighters, sometimes you're always looking for what's next. So it's hard to look around and realize that like I'm literally in Las Vegas training at the UFC PI, getting ready for my UFC debut. So this is something I've always dreamed of, and now it's happening. In this time, it just feels normal. It feels like this is what's supposed to be happening. But when I actually put it into the bigger picture, I'm very proud of myself. And like the 14-year-old me who started getting into MMA, training at a small gym in Southport, would look at where I am now and be very proud of everything that I've achieved. But the fighter in me now, I'm not satisfied. I want a lot more than what I've got currently. I want this and everything else. I want to be challenging for titles. I want to be a star in the UFC. I want to be a big name. So this feels like, on one hand, I'm very proud of myself and I'm lucky and blessed to be here. But on the other hand, I'm hungry for more. And I've seen a sort of a taste of it now, what I can achieve and what life can be like as a UFC fighter. And I want everything that comes with that. So, yeah, it's both sides of it, really.
There's a lot of, as I mentioned, guys and girls in your gym who've dealt with the bright light. Have you received any words of wisdom from Paddy, Molly, or maybe Leah, who've maybe give you an idea of how to handle the biggest moments of your career coming up Saturday night?
Yeah, definitely. I speak to them all the time about these sort of things because they know, obviously, that this is where I'm heading. They know that me and the other boys are all coming for the big leagues as well. So we have those conversations all the time, especially with Molly. She's really good for that. She's somebody who you can kind of lean on in times of stress or a little bit of adversity because she's been through everything in her career. So I remember last week she sent me a really good message before the fight, just kind of putting me in the right frame of mind. And then when things were pulled, she sent me another message. And then now again, she's been in touch with me this week, sort of just checking in and making sure that my mind's in the right place. But we do that as a team. We're all very good at communicating. My coaches are texting me every day, checking in. Obviously, I've got them flying back out. Been here with Adam, who's one of my best mates. So he's been checking up on me every day, making sure I'm staying mentally switched on. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to have all those people around me to make sure that I'm in the best possible headspace to go and get the job done. And I can assure you, I definitely am in that headspace. I'm ready to go now.
Well, last question from me, Nathan. Thank you so much for your time. I asked this to all of my guests now, so it's no special treatment, let's say. But I'd like to know, in a perfect world, how do you envisage Saturday going? And I'd like to get a walkthrough from you, how you see your morning going to how you see your night going. Give me a walkthrough of your perfect fight day as you envisage it.
That's a good question. I like this because I've already envisioned it many, many times in my head. So
Kayla Harrison said the same thing when I asked her last week. So you're at least on a champion's mindset path, at least.
okay, there we go. Good stuff. But this one's going to be a little bit unique because I'm fighting at 1 o'clock on base time. So it's going to be showing in the UK 9 p.m, which is nice, but 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm going to wake up. I'm going to get a shower. I'm going to get my coffee ready, and I'm going to have some breakfast. I'm going to stick some fights on the TV. I'm going to watch some of my favorite fighters. I'm going to watch some of my old fights. Probably watch some of Adam's fights with him. We're going to get in the right mindset. Then I'm getting picked up at 10:30 by the UFC bus it's getting taken over to the Apex. So where this time I've got to hopefully warm up with no issues, get in the zone, get the tunes pumping, and get ready, walk out there, get in the cage. This is going to be early on. This is afternoon, 1 o'clock. Get in, get a first round finish, secure my position in the UFC, prove to everybody on a world stage sort of what my level is, and then go and celebrate, go and have a great afternoon, enjoy my last one day in Las Vegas of the 3-week journey. My family are coming out as well to watch the fight, so I'll be with my brothers, my sister, my dad. So that's going to be great. And then we're going to go and celebrate. It's going to be one of the best days of my life. And then we're going to look back on these crazy 3 weeks, probably make some jokes, have a little laugh, especially with Adam, because he knows how the mood's been up and down. So we'll have a few jokes about that. And then I'm going to fly home, see everyone I love. And it's going to be the start of my UFC career. And it's going to be a great couple months ahead. I'm really excited for it, lad. Honestly, it feels like this is the right time now, and things are going to all fall into place for me. So I'm very excited for it.
Me too, mate. Me too. Well, look, great catching up with you. Really great. Really glad to hear the news when this came through. And I know that we've been trying to make it work. And obviously, you've had a lot of complications on your side. So I'm so glad that we made it work. And before we finish, mate, best of luck. But also remember to enjoy the next few days, because you only make a UFC debut once. You found that out a fortnight ago, but keep that at the forefront of your mind, that this is a once in a lifetime experience, and enjoy every second as you can, my friend.
It's right, Mike. I will do, lad. Thank you very much. Good to speak to you, brother.